Hello, this is Tracy with Totally Trace. I am here live and I am going to be doing the Brush with Beauty class. So every month I offer at least one card class to go, and I design usually 5 cards using a suite, and then I come live and I demonstrate it for you. And this is a kit that you can purchase and you can make these exact same cards. So let me tell you what would come in your kit. So this is exactly what your kit will look like. It has 6x6 sheets of paper. It has 18 of the gems I'm using. And then it also has the 5 envelopes with all the cardstock cut and prepped for you. And as I'm making the cards, you're going to see exactly what you'll be getting. Then you'll also get the PDF tutorial, which has all the directions, it has pictures, it has measurements, everything you need. And I know a lot of you love getting that because then you use those measurements and those images to make other cards too, just with whatever paper you have as well. So I'm glad you could join me. If you do make it in, please say hi to me. Let me know you're watching. Let me know if you're getting the kit. And then, of course, I'm going to tell you which one's my favorite card, but I always love to hear what your favorite card is too. All right, so let me just make sure I'm going to be seeing all of your comments so that I can chat with you. And by the way, I do love it when you chat with me because it feels a little awkward sometimes when I'm the only one talking. I feel like I'm talking into outer space. All right, so again, these are going to be the Brush with Beauty. So I love this paper. Again, it was one of those, as soon as I saw it, I knew I was getting it. So this is what the front of the paper looks like. And then there's the back. So this is all the paper that comes in that pack. And you're going to get 6x6 sheets of paper with the kit. Then I also want to show you, it's part of a suite. And of course, I probably should have had this out ready to go. Okay, so part of the suite is this Words of Beauty, and I really think this is a must-have sentiment stamp. So I always feel like I don't have enough sentiments. I don't know if everybody feels that way. And then I'll buy sentiments. I'm like, oh, it's still not quite right. But I love all these sayings, and me personally, I tend to use when they're laid out longer, if that makes sense. Here, I've got another. So see how this one's like not long? I don't know, that's just my aesthetic, I guess. I feel like I can do better with that. And then the Just Because, it has the stamp, but then it also has the dies. And then it comes with these labels too. So that's part of this suite. And I'm going to be using these sentiments. So if you get the kit, you will need a sentiment. Again, I highly recommend this, but you can use whatever sentiments you have. And then it also has the Petals of Beauty. So it has all these flowers. And then you know how much I love my different stems. So like I'm loving this one and this one. And I've used this a little bit too. And you're going to see all of that tonight. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So again, if you are interested in this kit, it's in the comments section. And I know I just posted it, so none of you have it. So if you're going to do it, you're going to watch the replay with me. I'm going to skip over card number 1 right now. And I'm going to go to card number 2. So if you're going to watch the replay and follow along with me, I'm on card number 2, which is this card. You've seen this fun fold from me before. So look, again, see how it has that because it's your birthday. And then it opens up this way. All right, so I'm going to grab my kit. And I am looking for the one with that petal pink. How about that? It's not the last one. Let's try that again. Oh, it was the first one. I just guess I skipped right over it because it's never the first one I pick. All right, so like I said, any kit that I have, everything is cut and prepped for you. So you can see I already have the Because, I've got the flowers cut for you. Everything is cut except for your designer series paper. All right, and then the designer series paper I'm using is going to be this one. And then I'm using the B side of that one. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to score this piece. Because I'm going to create that flap. And again, you're going to have all the measurements in your PDF. So don't worry about like trying to keep up with me on that. You have all those. And I'm just checking the PDF to make sure I just scored that at the right. Yes, I did. Okay. All right, so I'm going to work on the inside first because that's what's going to make that flap work. And then on the inside, I just took this pretty flower and stamped it. And this is a new set, so it's got that new packaging. Oh, sorry if that's really loud. Again, new packaging, I'm not used to that. And then I'm going to stamp it with crumb cake. So the paper, this suite uses Petal Pink, which is a gorgeous color. A challenge that I have with Petal Pink, and you guys will have to tell me if you have the same challenge, is when I use the ink looks more peachy, which Petal Pink is a little peachy. It's more peachy than pink, but it looks even more peachy on the, when I stamp it. And so it never quite matches the cardstock, which is one of the things that it's why I became a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, is because everything coordinates. So it bothers me that the Petal Pink doesn't. So you're going to see I use crumb cake a lot for this one. All right, so this is going to go on the inside, but first I'm just going to fold this flap and really score it. Hi, Deborah. And then this is going to get glued right here. So let me put some glue on the back of that. And then, of course, if you're tuned in and you're like, why is this lady not making Christmas cards? I want to hear that too. You might still be in Christmas mode, but I promise you're going to want this kit. And you're going to be mad if you don't get it. When Christmas is over, you're going to think, oh, I should have gotten that Brush with Beauty. So I'm just making sure it closes. So I just lined up my score line with the side of the card. That's going to ensure that it closes nicely. All right, and then I'm going to glue this over it, so it's going to kind of hide that ugly flap. Okay, see how that just kind of hides that right in there. All right, so now for the front of the card, we're going to use this paper. I love a good floral neutral paper. I struggled in designing this class because I loved it that much, the paper. And I was afraid, every piece I was afraid to cut, which in all honesty, that's how I am when I'm designing most classes, but this one was particularly hard. So you'll have to tell me if I did the paper justice, because that's always my fear of, oh, could I have done something better with that paper? All right, so that's going to go there. And then on the flap, I'm going to use the back of this. Whoop, I'm losing flowers. Okay, and I am just going to go quickly to my tutorial just to make sure. And it looks like you can see, oh my goodness, I really do want to send these. I'm going to lose those. So let me put that off to the side. I have it going in a direction. I don't know if it really matters, but I am going to just do that. And for those of you that have this kit, I'm going to cut at, hang on. Okay, I was going to say it's not matching. I'm going to cut at 2 7/8 first, just because that is going to save paper for other cards. And you're going to see with this paper, I'm trying to think how to word it. So each card uses several pieces of paper, which actually gives you more paper in the long run. So you're going to see how much extra I have at the end of this. Okay, and I want to go this way because I don't want that big crumb cake spot left. And then we're just going to lay that and make sure. Okay, good. All right, and all this is going to get glued down. I really do like this fun fold. I like adding all the different flaps. Just gives it a little something extra. All right. So now on the inside, we want to make sure we're covering all that because we want that to be the surprise when they open it. So this flower, again, is just die cut right out of the Petals of Beauty bundle. You have that. And then look how pretty this piece is. That's part in that same bundle. Again, it's in the kit for you. All right, now I will tell you, I have played and played and played and could not figure out how it lines up. Maybe it just doesn't even line up. So I'm to the point where I don't even care anymore. I'm just laying it down. But let's see, sometimes I can tell, oh yeah, see I was about to glue the wrong side. So again, I'm just putting it on there. See, I keep wanting to turn it and match it. It doesn't match. All right, and then you have a scrap of Very Vanilla. That's for your sentiment. On the front, I have that because, and look, you can say because you're a great friend, because it's your birthday, because I appreciate you, because I think you're amazing, because I love you, because you've been on my mind. Have I mentioned how much I love this stamp set? I'm going to use It's Your Birthday. Actually, I'm going to use Because I Appreciate You. I always need thank you cards. I go through thank you cards way more than I go through birthday cards, but I know I might be unique in that. So that's why I designed it with Because It's Your Birthday. I'm using Early Espresso ink. I'm just going to stamp that right in the middle. And we're going to trim that off. And then again, I'm just going to, ooh, I wonder if I got some edge of that ink. Look, I think that's just so pretty. And we're just going to lay it there. I believe, yes, I glued this down. You definitely don't want it to be too thick here because then this flap won't close. Just make sure, yep, that's hidden. And I think I'm even going to glue this one down. I think in my original I popped up. All right, and then on the front, I've got this flower. And I'm going to stamp it with that same flower I used before. Okay, so now I love that Stampin' Up! Has gone to all clear, which makes it much easier to stamp. But in all honesty, I would probably stamp this and then die cut it, but I wanted it to be in your kit. So I'm going to see if I can line this up. Looks like it's right like that. It is very easy to line up and then die cut. And actually, that wasn't too bad. But sometimes the more intricate stamps, it's better to die cut first. So we'll see how this turns out, because remember, I've got cameras in front of my face too. In fact, I'm going to pull this down. I might be off camera, because I don't think there was any way I was going to line that up. And we'll just pop that off. All right, and I am happy with that, especially because I'm even going to cover that up with the sentiment. But if you were off, look, I mean, it's really easy. Nobody's going to know except for you that you had to trim it down. So I'll just trim a little bit so you can see. But again, I'm covering that. Okay, so let's see how I do with this one. Again, I would probably stamp first and then die cut. So I got this big chunky because, and I'm having a hard time finding a different block. Hang on. All my long blocks are buried. Again, I'm using early espresso. So for my flowers, I use the crumb cake. For the words, I use early espresso. Of course, you could use the same for both. All right, again, I'm going to move it so I'm more on top of it. Sorry, I know I'm probably out of camera. Ta-da! Look how pretty that is. I love that stamp. And then the just is the same way. All right, so this I'm going to glue. All right, I see a lot more of you watching, but it's still only showing me Deborah. So if you're here, say hi so I know you're here. I try and say hi as you pop in, but for some reason Facebook really likes Deborah today and is only showing me her. Okay, so I'm just going to glue that. Hi, Lisa. All right, and then this I'm going to pop up over it. Just like that. Hi there, Stacy. Thanks for joining. Hi, Karen. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my kit. And you've got these, they're called Pearls of Beauty. And they are beautiful. I don't know if they're going to show the shine, but they're very shiny and very shiny yet neutral, if that makes sense. So it has the crumb cake, calypso coral, and white. And at first I thought, why are they giving me white when everything on this is very vanilla? But you'll see the white looks good with it. So I'm just going to take one of these little crumb cakes and put it right in the middle of that flower. And then, of course, your kit has 18. You're going to have extra. So if you want to do more, you can do more. All right. So there is card number 1. I'm just going to clean these stamps off a bit. And then I'll start card number 2. Hi, Chris from New Zealand. Oh, she's wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, too. Hopefully, most of you are all done. As soon as I'm done here, I think I mentioned it earlier, I never made gifts. So I make a lot of gifts. People have come to expect that, as you can imagine. So I make cards for my administrators. And I don't know what happened this year. It just fell off my to-do list. And so as soon as I am done here, I'm going to finish those up. I've already designed them and I've made like my template. I just have to actually finish making the gifts, and I'm going to make a cute little matching gift bag. I'm very excited. It's going to be adorable. Hopefully they think that too. All right, let's put these aside so that I don't lose them, because you know I'm probably going to anyway. All right, so let's go to card number 3. So check out this card. Again, this is only the second card I'm making, but I'm saying it according to the tutorial for those of you that are going to watch the replay and make these. So this is what I mean. When this paper is so pretty, like it does the work. That's the kind of paper I love. So let's find the envelope that has that. Wow, look at that. First time. All right, so again, everything you need is going to be included in there. And then you're going to need to find the designer series paper that matches it. Okay, so there's two that are similar. So I'm using the one that has the smaller flowers. All right, and then let me just grab my tutorial again. And I like to follow the tutorial when I'm doing it with you, just because if there's a mistake, I can correct it so that you don't have a mistake on yours. Okay. So I'm cutting it at the 4-inch piece. Again, that's just going to give you a larger piece for other cards. I'm just going to keep my stack over here. All right, and see, that's going to get glued right there. And then, all right, so look at this. This is vellum, and I've embossed it with, I'm not going to remember the name. And right now I can't even find the embossing folder. But this comes with that suite as well. I think it has beauty in the name as well. But if you are on the Stampin' Up! Website and you just type in brush with beauty, it'll show you the suite and everything that comes in it. And so I love embossing on vellum because it turns it white and it just adds such a nice detail. So that's going to go there. And then look at this, because again, that's die cut out of this Words of Beauty. Okay, it has the die cut for that. And then we're going to stamp You're a Great Friend, which also comes from that same sentiment. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to stamp it in Mossy Meadow, because that is also the paper that I use. See, that's what I mean when I say I love Stampin' Up! Because everything coordinates. For several years, I worked at Michael's Craft Store, and I did card classes for them. And I just remember all the time being so frustrated in trying to design things and getting things to match. And I had never heard of Stampin' Up! And then a customer came in, and she had attended a couple of my classes, and then she showed me some of her cards that she was making, and I was like, how is everything matching so well? And then from there on, I quit Michael's and have been with Stampin' Up! Ever since. All right, so that is going to go just like that. Now, because it's vellum, there is a little bit of a trick on how to get that adhesive. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all glued down. All right, so I'm actually going to glue everything to the vellum first. All right, let me get my little glue mat so I don't end up with glue all over my table. So when I am using the green glue for something like this, what I do is I put the tip directly on, and like I push down on the tip onto the paper, and then I squeeze just a little bit, because that makes it so if you're pushing it onto the paper, not much can come out. So that's just a little tip there. All right, that should be plenty. And then we're going to glue that down. And I like to hold it a little bit longer on the vellum. It just takes a little bit longer to dry on vellum than it does on the cardstock for some reason. Okay, so now I'm going to pop this up. So I'm going to grab my mini dimensionals. I'll just put one at each end. Okay, so now when I flip it over, you can see where you can hide your dimensionals. Because if you put glue or dimensionals, people are going to see right through it. So I can put them here. But because that's already thick, what I'm going to do, and I don't know what you're going to be able to see on camera. I'm going to put it behind my letters. So there's a thick part of my B right here that I'm going to put. So if somebody's really looking, they're going to be able to see it. And then right here at the E. But I bet you didn't notice it on my original card. Oh, and before I put that on there, let's go ahead and glue this to my card base. So see, simple card, simple layout, just using pretty paper. But then you can make it special by adding those little touches of texture. And then, so on this one, I put it here because there was an empty space there, whereas here, do you see how it's the empty space is over here? So that's where I'm going to put it on this one. All right, there we go. Card number 2. These cards are great for any occasion, but this would also be, sorry, part of my E hasn't popped out. These would make a great gift also. If you're still looking for a gift, of just giving them a pack of this, like get some pretty paper, make several cards together. Perfect gift for somebody. All right, let's see what the next card is. Ooh, we're moving to my favorite. You're gonna have to tell me your favorite too, but I love this one. And when I told you I have a hard time cutting into paper to begin with, and when I cut this piece, I had this vision, and I cut this piece, and I thought, oh no, I don't like it, and now I've ruined. I've cut this paper, and then of course in the end, it ended up being my favorite. Okay, so now we're gonna use the bolder, the bigger flowers. And then, let's see if I can get lucky with it being the first one again. No, I knew that was going to be too good to be true. All right, this looks like the right one. All right, so everything that you're seeing is what comes in the kits. So inks and stamps are what you'll need to provide, but everything that you're seeing that's coming out of the envelope, you're going to get an envelope that looks just like that. All right, so this just looks like a normal card, right? But again, I like my fun folds, so watch what happens. This one sits up like that at an angle. Hello from Southern Oregon. Is it pronounced Jean? All right, so I'm going to show you how to make that. And I see I have a wrong card base in there, so I'm going to go through and fix that before I ship any out. All right, so here is the secret with this kind of card. This is a standard card base. If you look, this looks the same, but it's going to open this way. And then here is where we're going to make the magic. So I'm going to put this in my paper trimmer, and I'm lining up this corner with this corner. Okay, Jeanne. Sorry, I wish I would have been the first person to get it right the first time. All right, so all I did was score that. And so then we're just going to fold this. Okay, so that's what's going to allow it to sit up. But let's do the fun part first. All right, so our card base is going to have that. Then it's going to have that. And we're going to cut this piece. Now on mine, I did make it so that the top, you can see like there, but if you wanted to use this piece where the whole thing was, it doesn't matter. This is your card, you make it how you want. All right, let me just make sure I'm going to be measuring this right. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to cut the 2 7/8 first. Okay, I'm just going to make sure I'm thinking this correctly. Right? That way you don't have to go cut and go, oops. And then let's see, what is my other measurement? Okay. Okay, so this is the part where I got to. I got to this and I thought, oh no, I'm not really happy with how that looks at all. But then in come, okay, oh, I was going to say, were all those in the envelope? In come all these pieces. So I told you I love my stems. So in this, you have all these pieces. So I just started die cutting. And here's another vellum piece. So again, use your die cuts and your embossing with vellum because it really does make an impact. So, and then I'm just going to layer these. Okay, so we're just going to put that there, and then we're going to put that, and then we're going to put that, and then we're going to lay that over it. So I'm going to stamp this first. And again, I love the because, and then they open up the card to see what else is inside. So I've used this big because on a card, but see how there's this little one too? So I'm going to use that. Hi, Teresa. Teresa, do you have this set? If you do, I know you're going to want my PDF. I know sometimes you really like those PDFs. Okay, so I'm using Calypso Coral for this one. So I'm just going to kind of stamp that off to the left. And then it also has the ellipse, right? The dot, dot, dot. Did I have my vocabulary right? Okay, so I'm just going to stamp it right next to it, and then I'm going to do it again. So cute. Okay, so now I'm going to start putting this down. Oh, see, I love the neutral paper on the back too. All right, and then I am going to center this. And if you're going to be a little off center, right, because we all are when we're gluing things down, you want to be a little off to the right because all that foliage can go on the left. All right, and then this stem is going to get glued down. Oh, and did I mention, can you see that this is also embossed with that same embossing folder that's part of the suite? All right, now vellum again, so we have to hide our adhesive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dimensional and I'm just going to put it behind this leaf. And that's all I'm using is that one. All right, so now I'm gonna, so you can see, like, right, it's pretty obvious that's there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put glue right over the top of that. And then my flower is going to go right over that. So nobody's gonna ever see that. So now we're going to attach this. And I'm gonna put one dimensional at the very end. One just off the middle, and then I'm going to put a spot of glue right there. And again, that spot of glue is going to go right over that flower, and everything else will go on the card. Okay, so now let's look at how this comes together. Here's the important part. We are only putting glue on this bottom triangle, and I am going to have a little bit of an edge, so I'm not going to go right to the edge. Okay, and then I'm going to lay that flat, and I'm going to kind of center this over it. Okay, and I'm going to leave that there just to dry. And then oh, there it is. I was going to say, you should have another one. Okay, so then you have another little label in there, and I'm going to pull out. So this is the because. I'm going to use because I love you. Is it too soon to be thinking about Mother's Day? I could totally see this being a Mother's Day card. All right, and then I'm just going to stamp that. All right, and then we're going to put 2 mini dimensionals on the back. And then this is what's going to hold this card up so that it can display. So I'm just kind of getting an idea of where I want it to be. And see how it just traps it there? So it can open like a normal card, but then they can also display it just like that. So even if it wasn't that fun folds, I still think this is my favorite card just looking at that. I think that is so pretty. All right, but I have a couple more to do, so you don't have to tell me your favorite yet. All right. So I am going to be back live on Saturday to demonstrate another project for you. Any ideas on what you want to see? Do you want to see more of this Brush with Beauty? Do you want me to go back to Christmas? I was even thinking New Year's. Maybe a hostess gift for a New Year's party. Something else. All right. Card number, ooh, my printer didn't do a very good job of printing this one. All right, on the tutorial it says, oh, wait a minute. We forgot bling. All right, so, can't believe I almost forgot the bling. Oh no. I almost lost that one. I want to stick to my thumb, not the paper. There we go. So pretty. Okay, now I'm going to go to this card. You can see I used a lot of the stems again. And for this one, we're going to use a lot of our scraps that we've already used. So, for example, we're going to use this piece. This one is already cut for us. And then let's see, do I need to cut that pink backing? Yes, so let's grab that. Okay, so it's the back of this one, which, let's be honest, maybe it's just my opinion, but this paper to me does not seem to fit in with it. So this is one of those that I liked using, the B-side. Marlene says Brush Beauty. Yes, this is all from the Brush Beauty suite. The paper, the stamps I'm using, the embossing folder, everything. All right. Okay, let me get organized here. I feel like I've got stuff all over the place. So I'm just going to trim this one down. And this one is going to be might have to go off memory here because this one is, again, my printer did not do a very good job printing. It looks like maybe I had another, oh no, and I just cut it wrong. All right, so I might have to rethink this one. Maybe I'll use this piece instead. Yep, we're gonna see how this piece looks. Because I have this one too. Oh no, I'm gonna use that one. So we'll do this one. Let's not make that mistake again. I needed to go to 5 1/4, but I'm gonna cut off this first. All right, we're gonna see how it looks with this paper. I'm sure it's still gonna be stunning because, again, when the paper is this pretty, yeah, look at that. Might even be better than my original. All right, and then this piece is going to go there. And then what did I do with that yellow paper? Here it is. With your kit comes the PDF tutorial, so all these measurements are in there. Yeah, GN saying that the DSP is beautiful. This is the easy button, right? I could have just taken this paper and just put it on the card and it would be stunning. All right, so this is the gist of it. And then, again, I'm going to use all these pretty stems and just kind of layer. Whenever I'm designing a kit, I try and give you as much as you can so that you make the cards. You can make the cards and only have to do the sentiments. So I will say that's why I gave you this piece, but there is a stamp that has that. And when you stamp that stamp on the vanilla in Crumb Cake, it's very pretty. All right, so then all that will get glued there. Yeah, actually, I think I'm liking that paper better. There are no mistakes in crafting, only happy accidents, right? Okay, so I'm going to start gluing down. And this piece we're going to put at the end. All right, and then before I glue this one, I'm actually going to put that stem there. I kind of like it going off to the side. Okay. So it looks like the bottom of my stem is going to line up with that paper. Just put a dot on each little leaf. Hi, Tanya. Welcome. I don't recognize that name. I'm thinking you might be a first-time watcher. And then I'm just putting that off to the side a little bit. And then this piece is going to get glued down. Okay. This I'm going to pop up. I'm just going to put one dimensional up on the leaf. I'm told that I am pretty frugal with my dimensionals, but I promise they stay. You don't need to do one on every single leaf. It'll stay. All right, and then I've die cut that label for you. That comes with the words of beauty. That label. And let's see, on mine I have "You're So Kind." We can do "You've Been on My Mind," "I Love You," "You're So Kind," "You're So Sweet." All of that works. Let's stick with the "You're So," but I'll do "Sweet" this time. Ooh, now I'm also thinking that's a great one for if I'm giving candy to somebody. Just a little tag that says "You're so sweet." I'm telling you, must have stamp set. All right, the "You're So." And then I'll show you the trick of how I do this too to make sure that it matches. Although now that everything is clear, I don't know that you necessarily need to. Oh, I picked "Lovely." I guess we're going with "Lovely." Is that what I said I was going to use? No, I said I was going to do "You're So Sweet," but "Lovely" is what came off, so that must be what I need. So you can lay them like this and then put your block. This is really the easier way to do it if your stamps aren't brand new, because when they're brand new, they're pretty sticky, so they stick to everything. But actually, that wasn't too bad. Okay, and then you just stamp it so that it's where you want it. And this one I did Mossy Meadow. I'm going to try Crumb Cake this time. Oh, you have to go. Yes. Hi, Carrie. I'm glad you could make it. Yep. Well, you can go back, watch the replay. Okay. Yeah. I like it with the Crumb Cake. It's a little more subtle. All right. And then we're going to put some dimensionals at each end. Just cover that stem just like that. And then all this will get glued right on there. All right, just like that. And then I did include a very vanilla for you to put on the inside. I just like to do that for all my darker cards. So again, if you wanted to stamp a flower on the inside or another sentiment, you could also use leftover paper. So for example, remember I'd cut this one wrong, but look, it fits just like that, or you could even just cut a strip there. You could put strip Like you could cut a strip there, like feel free to decorate that however you want. Okay, and then of course we're going to use our gems. Just like that. See, does the white bother you with the vanilla? I love it. I think it looks good together. I was a little worried at first. All right, so I do have one other card, and it uses this paper, which again is stunning. So I just want to show you, and I'll show you the envelope. This is in your PDF tutorial. I'm not going to make this one tonight, but just so that you can see, like, everything is in it. So you have that piece will go there, this piece will go there, and then you have your, this is from the Textured Notes dies. It has just a nice little texture around the border. And then you'll use your gems. And so you're only going to use not even half of this paper for that. And then you'll use this paper for that. But look at all, so you'll still have half this paper. I mean, there's so much paper left for you to sell. I cut this one wrong, so you'd actually have more of that. There's still so much for you to make that you could do almost double. And then I will be creating more reels this month so that you can see what you can do with your scraps. If this is a kit that you want, which I know you do, because how could you not? These cards are amazing. Only because of the paper. Hopefully, I'm not trying to brag on myself. I really mean it's because of the paper. It's in the comment section. You can register for the class. I will send you the kit, and you can it'll make 5 cards. All right, so, oh, I see hearts going by. All right, so which one's your favorite? Do you agree with me that this one is the best, or do you have a different favorite? Don't be shy. Let me know. I'm going to clean up while you're typing in your answers. And then, again, I will be live on Saturday at 9:30 Eastern Time. I don't think any of you told me what you want me to make. I guess it's dealer's choice. All right, nobody wants to pick a favorite. Okay, I will let you all go for the evening. I actually have a team meeting coming up at 7 tonight that I'm excited to join and learn new things. So I will see you on Saturday. Oh, Gian said she liked the easel style best. Yeah, it's the fun fold, and I really like the design of it too. All right, thanks so much for joining me. I will see all of you next time.